Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to FQ for Division 2 here at Mexico. I am your streamer and host for this evening, Dangerous Dodo, and I'm joined today by the prolific, the well-known, legendary racing driver FneXie to help me guide all of you through the incredible 20 odd laps we're going to get around this circuit. How are you doing, my friend?
Hello, mate. I'm doing extremely well, although a little bit late to the combox as usual. But I am doing very fine indeed, and yeah, Mexico, not too known for its overtaking in real life, but in the F1 games, very good for overtaking.
Indeed. Well, main thing is you're here. Obviously, you were a little late, but that's absolutely fine. Main thing is you're here and ready to commentate on what we hope will be an incredible race. We've got the biggest grid of the season with 17 showing up, and we had an absolutely incredible race around Austria last week, and I just hope that the race is half as good as it was last weekend, because if it is, then it's going to be a pretty great race as we have Big Boris coming down the pit lane.
Yeah, and obviously last week Austria there's a Finnish flag there. I'm very happy about that. Last week Austria, a very good track for overtaking. This time maybe not as good of a track for overtaking Mexico, but definitely the two long straights can help for overtaking. And if you go for a higher downforce setup, then some crazy moves can happen also in the middle sector.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll see those. That's the first absolutely of the stream.
I
That's
really
a shot.
tried not to do it.
There were those two DRS zones, the main one being that really long drag down the first straight, which seems like forever when you're driving it, flat out. So I reckon there's going to be a lot of overtaking there with the DRS, but also possibly down into turn 5, I believe, turn 4 or 5 after the second DRS zone, after you get that second bite of the drag reduction system.
Yeah, for sure, and those are going to be the main overtaking opportunities. Then there's maybe some down the third DRS straight, 3 DRS straights obviously here around this track. But as Boris is going to be the first to start a lap through this stadium section. Very, very nice looking indeed. Not the best for racing maybe, but always a good show. And yeah, Boris looking to fly us off in the first lap of qualifying.
Yeah, we'll follow him round, as this will be the first lap set if he doesn't invalidate. He's got a couple cars in front, they stay out the way very nicely, and he's finally to the end of this long straight after 15 seconds. And he hooks up the first chicane quite nicely, quite safe, using the curb. And he sets off, he gets the DRS open for a second time, like we were talking about just then, into what is the middle sector, the twisty, slow middle sector. Not a bad lap so far, I think.
Not a bad lap at all. I wouldn't call the next part of this very slow at all in the middle sector, but definitely, like you said, a curved middle sector. Very many corners to come as Boris then puts it in nicely to a flat out left-hander, then a little bit of lift into the right-hander, then back to left. And now the DRS open for the third time on his lap. He's getting a bit of a slipstream from the AlphaTauri ahead as he heads into the third sector. Now a very, very twisty section through the stadium. Everyone cheering on there. No Sergio Perez this time, so everyone's getting an equal amount of cheers here as Big Boris through the final corner across the line at 1:19.1.
That is the benchmark that everyone else has to try and match, and we're going to get a couple of people over the line. Harrison is the first man to the 18s with an 18.6. Trying to look at, we also have Anj Hamid into the 17s. That's a lovely lap from him, and then Quad End with the 21. We're going to get a couple more people over the line. I'm following Kaz now through the middle of the stadium section as Skip goes P1 with a 17.0. Nick Furyman with a 17.3 slots into second place, and Kaz slots in and takes that second place away from Nick with a 17.2. So it already looks incredibly competitive here. as we
Lance
have
now on Lance
Lance.
Fenton in the final sector. Obviously, Skip and Lance in a tight championship fight last week. Skip lost the win due to a steward's decision, so now he'll be back looking to get that win as Lance is gonna try to stop him, and stop him he does for now. A 16.987 onto provisional pole.
Lovely lap from Lance, and first man into the 16s, but I very much doubt he'll be the last, as the track will rubber in and the times will plummet. But that is a great start, as AJ goes into P6 there with a 17.8. So the spread very close, only a second covering the top 7, which is saying something considering that only 12 people have set a lap time so far.
Yeah, and I'm just following Tom King, the Aston Martin driver, around the lap. Made his debut last race out in Austria and had a very good race, if I do remember correctly. So now he's going to be looking to build on that confidence, on that. Oh, as there's a Red Bull a little bit in the way there. That was Quadrant, I believe.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Sector 2.
I'm not sure how much time it had lost whether he had to lift slightly, but it's not ideal, certainly, for the Aston Martin man. Let's see what he can do through the stadium. Hooks up the hairpin nicely and gets on the power nice and early for the run to the line, and it will be P12 only with the exact same time as Big Boris, so possibly losing a lot with the impeding from the Red Bull there, unfortunately for Tom.
Yeah, it's a possibility, and definitely we saw that the Red Bull did come in the way quite interestingly there through that middle sector where you have to have everything correct. And next up to start a lap, I believe, is Swamp, but Stevie already on a second consecutive flying lap due to an invalidation on the first.
Yeah, I was following Stevie, and as he comes to the end of the lap, he's going to run out of ARS, but he is purple in the little sector according to the minimap, so this is going to put him right in the sharp end, hopefully, for him in the Alpine. Obviously, Alpine, one of the stronger teams in terms of pace. I haven't been able to capitalise all the time in terms of points. Stevie missing the last race, and he hits the wall and loses the front wing, so that lap obviously will not count. He will come into the pits and try again, but he has got time for at least 2 more flyers.
Yeah, but that's gonna be a knock on your confidence, isn't it? You're on a good lap, purple middle sector, and then you put it in a wall, so Stevie now needs to recover from that massively as Rab is starting his lap.
Yep, the Ferrari man now coming round the start of the middle sector, and a big snap. I don't know how he saved that. That is a lovely save from, and not going to be fast though, as he gets another snap. The rear looking really sketchy on that Ferrari at the moment. Let's see how he can, tame it through this fast section of the racetrack, similar to Maggots Beckett's at Silverstone. This just really quick left, right, left, and then down into the stadium, which is a contrast of going from really fast corners to really slow second gear, first gear for Rab there as well. So he's definitely got time to find, but the stadium section looked pretty good, and he's got a good run to the line. Let's see where this puts him. P9, so into the top 10. That's a good effort from him.
Yeah, especially with that snap, with those snaps we saw, that car looked very unstable on the rear. So definitely some more time to find for him, as who's going to be on lap next? It's going to be, I believe, Nick Furyman.
But he's doing something weird with the gears here. I don't know whether it's he's not deploying, and he's burning fuel by the looks of it. So he will not go faster on this lap. He's stuck in 6th. Who else we've got? We've got Skip as well, who's just behind Nick on track, starting a lap. So see what he can do.
Yep. He's going to have a lot of traffic going into this lap though. This Skip, when you look at the minimum ahead of him, there's going to be at least maybe 5 cars, 7 cars that he catches on this lap, so they will need to get out of the way, as we know that people can get out of the way here, and then we have a surprisingly low amount of qualifying impediments here. But as he heads through Sector 1, he's a 10th up.
Brilliant stuff for Skip, great Sector 1, and that will be enough to leapfrog Lance into provisional pole if he can if he can nail the rest of this lap. I hope the Alpine gets out the way. He doesn't really, he's just on the racing line, but I'm not sure how much of that compromise skip, whether he got back onto the racing line in the corner entry. But that's definitely possibly going to be looked at the stewards. And look at the traffic.
Yeah.
Now, this is getting ridiculous, guys. They're going to get out of the way. It doesn't look like it.
They're going to have to.
Oh, it's going to
This
compromise
is
skip.
distracting if nothing else.
Yeah, this is not going to help him. He was still up through the middle sector, I believe, on his previous best, but that's definitely not going to have helped. So if he comes across the line, he still goes P1, but he definitely has time to find without being impeded there.
Yeah,
as the Lance started a lap. We now have Nick on a lap as well. And Hamid, I think, is the next driver in the top 10 to cross the line.
Yeah,
so we'll follow him through the
as
stadium.
Well. Kind of being quietly good this season. Obviously, Lance winning the first 2 races, and Ange
He's in.
being quick as well this season, I have to say. And he comes in this time, but he can definitely improve on a P6 for himself as Lance now comes through the quick part of Sector 2.
Yep, just following Golf as he comes across the line and goes P6. Good lap from him, 3/10 improvement. Now cut to our championship leader, Lance, in the McLaren. He only needs to find a little bit, and he's actually down at the moment through the middle sector, so maybe a bit of time to find in this final stadium section for the McLaren. He's hooked that up quite nicely as he comes through the final corner. He's got someone ahead, but that shouldn't impact him too much. It's a big snap, and I'm not sure he's going to improve. He doesn't know. He stays P2, so he's got one more chance to try and take that pole position away from his championship rival.
Yeah, and obviously the pole here not that important actually because of the long run down into turn 1, so the ideal place to be right now would be P3 and Kaz as it stands, because you get the slipstream into turn 1.
Yeah, that's very true. Who else do we have on laps right now? We've got AJ.
He aborted. Oh, there's an Alfa Romeo around in Sector 2. That's Osterdahl also making his debut here today, and round in Sector 2. A very easy place to spin it, and he has.
First victim of those curbs in the fast middle section, and he's getting out of the way nicely for people on laps. Who do we have on laps? Stevie on a lap. It doesn't look like it. He's harvesting and he's invalidated, so no. Tom King is. AJ's invalid. So it looks like Tom King... Oh no, Tom King's also backed off. So we've got Rob's backed off. So no one... It doesn't look like anyone's on a fast one right now, so...
Yep.
We're going to see everyone come in.
The flying lap will be Harrison. He's on an out lap right now in the final sector. Final corner now, actually.
Right, we'll follow him then for this lap. Currently sitting P6, first race of the season, Div 2. He's not put his foot down.
That's... Oh, and there's a Red Bull behind him as well, starting a lap, so...
I'm not quite sure what that was then, because he seemed... I don't know. He seemed to slow down in front of the Red Bull.
Fuel?
I'm not sure. I'm really perplexed by that, but we are going to follow quad end. Currently sitting P17 on this lap. See if he can improve his position. He would have got a little bit of a slipstream from Harrison, and he's 2 milliseconds off on his previous best.
Yeah, maybe also had
and
to
he's
have
invalidated. Very close there, but you know, this game will not take any prisoners. If you are outside that line even by a millimetre, it will invalidate your lap, unfortunately.
Yeah. And now the second Red Bull of Rob also on a lap through sector 1.
Yep, he's down in the first sector. Currently sitting P15. We'd expect more from not just Rob but also Cody. They've been doing really well of late, so sitting P12 and P15 is not where we'd expect. So maybe a couple of big laps coming from the father and son combo.
Yeah, I can't probably see Rob stealing you. Is that 0.2 laps of fuel he's got left? Now
Very possibly. I can't see it very clearly because the telemetry is in the way, but let's hope he makes it to the line.
He did show me purple in the middle sector.
He was 0.6 up on his previous in the middle sector, and it's enough for P9. So, like we said, there was more in the tank for Rob, and he's found it. P9 for him with a 17.9. So, that's a good effort from the Red Bull driver.
Timmy now going for his first and only lap of qualifying. I don't quite know what's happened there, but Timmy clearly confident enough to only do 1-1.
He maybe wants some softs, or maybe he just invalidated a couple of his laps when he went out. I'm not really sure.
I believe he hasn't been out.
He hasn't been out at all.
Check.
That's
He hasn't
interesting.
been out at all. This is his first lap.
It looks good so far. He's hit every
It looks
apex.
very, very good.
Maybe he's confident in the fact that he can just hook up one lap. He doesn't need multiple laps. He doesn't need to burn through a couple of sets of softs. We'll see where it puts him. We know Simi's a very capable driver, and he definitely has what it takes to be in that top 10.
Yeah,
So-
57.9, not a bad second sector split at all. So if Simi can just hook this up, which I think he has done quite nicely, I think this will put him up the grid.
And we're going to follow him to the line. Comes across the line in the Mercedes P9, so he takes that P9 off Rob. And that's a good effort considering it's his first lap. So Simi showing he has
Very good
pace
effort.
today, for
And
sure.
Nick 2/10 up in sector 2, but he's been impeded massively by that Williams there.
That was Swamp Mouth. That's really unfortunate, and he's now 5/10 down, so he's lost everything and more. That's a massive shame for Nick, who
Very, very
won't have
poor
time to come in for a new set of tyres, but he will have time to recharge the battery and go again on this set if he wants
doesn't
to.
have fuel.
He's not. That's it. It's a big shame.
He gets out of qualifying, and the other Alpine, Stevie, he's also a little bit of trouble with some traffic through sector 2, and he has backed off as well, so both Alpines
He
having a
invalidated,
nightmare.
did Stevie by the looks of it. The mini-map on the bottom right
Yep.
of your screens is red, so that means the driver has gone off the circuit during their lap, and it will not count. What is Stevie going to do? Is he going to follow his teammate into the pits? That is the end of Alpine's qualifying. The two
Wow.
pace setters from the first few rounds will go no further in this qualifying session. It is all now down to Skip, Lance and Kaz for who will take this pole position. As we've got Kaz is the
Don't
furthest
count
along
out
on his
AJ
lap.
at this point. I will have to tell you not to count out AJ so far. He's been very, very quick as of late as well, so...
You are right about that. I mean, that drive, AJ obviously earning drive of the day last week, that drive from the back of the grid after the unlucky grid pens was incredible. So if he can qualify further up the grid and do the same thing again, he could be a real contender today. He's currently sitting P5. It's been a tidy lap so far. As we'll follow Kaz.
10th up. Needs more in the final sector, but definitely looking good for him.
It is indeed. Can he challenge Skip's pole position? It comes through the final corner. It looks pretty clean and tidy, but is it fast? It is, but
fast,
not
fast
enough to challenge the top two. The next man
Lance
across the
up
line
next.
will be Lance. And it is enough.
Oh,
It's a 16-7, and that's going to take some beating. Our championship leader putting down a really great marker today. Has Skip got any... Skip is slightly up in the first sector. Has he got anything to respond with? Remember, Skip obviously got a little bit held up, we believe, on his second lap. So he's got time in the middle sector more than anywhere else. So the the sector split going into the third sector will tell us what we need to know about whether he's going to be able to pip Lance here.
Yeah, and Skip will want this absolutely now into the final sector. We'll see the sector 2 split time, and it's 2/10 up. It's about enough at the moment, but he needs to keep it together through this sector 3. We know Skip is fast, we know he's a capable driver, but does he have the nerves to keep it together through this sector 3? It looks like he does. Will it be enough to take provisional pole, take pole position away from Lance Fenton, his championship rival?
Yes.
He comes across the line. Yes, it will.
16-6, a beauty, almost a 10th up on his championship rival, and it will be Skip, Lance 1 and 2 unless someone can do anything about it. Harrison has invalidated in his pitting, Golf has invalidated, Rab has invalidated, Ostradel is still on a lap, but he's got a massive moment. He's caught it somehow, but that's not going to be an improvement, and he's backed off. Swampmouth is up on his previous time.
Last to cross the line, I believe, from people who are actually improving. So as he comes across the final corner, he's up slightly through the middle sector, goes 14th fastest, so that pushes Cody all the way down into 15th.
It's a shocker from Cody. We expect him, you know, he's been improving so much over the season, and with quad end with damage, he's not going to improve. Cody's been improving so much over the season, and it's not what we expect from him. I'm sure he'll have something to say about that in the race, though, because around here, overtaking certainly not difficult with the DRS, 3 DRS zones, but that was a great qualifying from the top 2. Couple tenths clear of the rest of the field, really setting the pace in this division, and neither of them wanting to give an inch, even though it's only round 5 in this championship. Neither of them wanting to give an inch in the championship battle. So I'll run you through the grid order for the race. It will be Skip on pole position, and less than a tenth back to Lance in the McLaren, and that will be your front row, with Kaz, Nick and AJ rounding out the top 5, and then it is Harrison, Golf, Ange, Simi, Rob top 10, Tom, Rab, Stevie, Swamp, Cody, Ostradel, Boris and Quad End rounds off the grid. And if the race is anything like qualifying, we're going to be in for a good one.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, anyone in the top 5, I would say even top 7 have a chance of winning this race. Especially into turn 1, I would love to be in Kaz's position right now into turn 1. He's going to get a great slipstream from the 2 championship rivals, who are a step ahead of the field in qualifying, but we know that the race is a completely different thing.
Yeah, you're right about that, the slipstream effect, because it's such a long run into turn 1 here at Monaco. The slipstream effect into T1 is so strong. If the guys on the front row want to keep their positions, they're going to have a perfect launch off the line and drain all of their ERS down into turn 1. As we wait for the grid to form, the drivers to formulate their strategies, which looks like it's going to be not affected by any rain today. And then we will get the 5 lights out.
Yeah, obviously gonna be an interesting turn 1 as always. Hopefully no incidents, especially between the top 7 today, and we'll see. We'll hope for a great race between Lance and Skip, and if anyone else can challenge them, go right ahead. But it looks like those 2 have the edge right now.
In terms of qualifying pace, certainly, but we don't know the setups that other people are running, whether they're running more race-based setups that'll be better on tyres, that'll be more consistent. There might be people that maybe didn't hook up a lap properly in qualifying and could have challenged a bit better, and will be able to unlock that pace in the race. We know this division is so close, and every race is very exciting, so don't stop watching this, as we're going to get the lights, and there are 5 red lights, and the lights are out and away we go, and it looks like a good start from poleman Skip, and Kaz is already up into P2, Lance with a bad getaway, down to P4 already. Nick Furyman up, and they're almost 3 wide now. Skip seems to be able to keep the lead,
and
it's 3 wide. A little bit of contact between Kaz and Lance, and look at AJ around the outside of Lance. They're now there side by side, and Lance has had a shocker here. Lance has had a real shocker.
Interestingly, Skip on the softs now.
Skip thinks maybe he has the pace to get away and break that DRS range, and to be honest, seeing Lance drop like that will be exactly what he needed.
As there's swamp mouth around in sector 1, I believe, or not?
Yeah, the guys in the back are really battling hard. They're about 5 in the space of a couple of yards. Big Boris and the like really battling. But Skip already with a 9/10 gap out in front, followed by Kaz and Nick Furyman top 3, and Lance recovering from that awful start, losing 2 positions. We have first retirement, it's Swampmouth, and he seems to have gone in a straight line, and it's a VSC that's been deployed. That's a very odd one. Perfect break though to have a look at the biggest winners and losers. Skip maintains P1, Kaz and Nick up 1 each. Lance down 2. AJ and Harrison staying as they are. And Rob and Tom gaining. Simi and Golf. Golf losing out a lot as... Is that...
Ooh.
Cody's got a
Stevie.
penalty. Stevie's out in the... Is that the first straight? I'm not quite sure what's happened there.
I don't know, I didn't catch it myself, but crucially now it's a full safety car.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely nightmare fuel for Skip, who has had that 1 second advantage over the field. And now it's completely neutralized.
We'll have to see what happens. Is he going to decide to pit for hards? We know the hards, obviously this is a 35% race, the hards can go to the end from pretty much lap 1. Is he going to decide to gamble on that now? But if he does pit and no one behind him does, he'll be in the pack, and that comes with its own risk. So what Skip decides to do pitting wise will be critical here for the race.
Yeah, I think pitting is not an option right now for many, well, especially the medium runners, but for the soft runners it might be an option. I really don't see Skip coming in right now. He had great pace on lap 1, so
We're going to see.
right.
He comes around the final corner, and it doesn't look like he is. No, he stays out. So he thinks he's going to keep to the original strategy.
Someone's in. Nick's in.
Nick is in. We're going to stay on board with him, see what he puts on. Is it going to be a set of hards? I imagine it is.
It has to be, yes.
It is. So Nick's going to the end.
He's
Has anyone
now-
else decided to pit? Cody's decided to pit.
He had damage, Cody did, doesn't have a front wing. But Cody's retiring from the session as well, so Nick now putting himself in an absolutely horrible position in my opinion. Now back of the pack, has to get those hards to the end.
Yeah, but it is... You lose quite a lot here in this pit lane, so if he can make his way through the pack relatively cleanly, relatively quickly, he might be in a good position, but it's going to be a similar to the Lance in Miami strategy. If he can make it work,
and
it could be a winner.
yes, and obviously we know from Lance that then it was Stevie chasing him. Now it's going to be Skip, Kaz and Lance chasing Nick at the end if Nick does get through. Everything needs to go right for Nick.
So we're going to get at least one more lap, I believe, of safety car. As Skip continues to lead from pole. This is going well for him. Obviously his championship rival, his main championship rival, Lance, sitting there in P3, still very much within touch. And you've got to say, on the preferred strategy, the primes to options tyre strategy is the faster one typically. So Skip really hampered by this safety car, not been able to use the immediate grip of the soft tyres as he would have liked.
Yeah, and now on the restart, whenever you go, you will have that long straight into turn 1, and the slipstream will be very strong, so Skip will be in a bit of trouble from the guys behind, maybe, but we'll have to see how everything pans out.
And we'll have to also see how long those softs will last before the medium runners begin to have more pace. We know there will be an overlap, we just don't know when that will be. Obviously it'll be a little bit later now that we've had these laps behind the safety car, but it's really down to Skip now to try and grow that gap as fast as he possibly can to make the most of this aggressive soft medium strategy.
Yeah, and obviously we've seen that it can work, especially with Kaz last week out in Austria. I think it would have worked if not for that penalty and for that incident with Nick at the final laps, so definitely can work out, but now Skip definitely just needs to bolt as soon as he can.
Yeah, we are going to get the safety car in this lap, I believe. I'm pretty certain of that.
This lap.
Yeah. And Skip, yeah, there we go. There is the confirmation from race control that the safety car, Bernd Mailander, will enter the pit lane, and we will get back into green flag conditions when we get to the line. Skip really backing him up now. And he now has to decide, when's he going to go? This is going to be a really difficult choice for him because you've got that long back straight and the start-finish line is right at the start of it. So he's going to be punching a hole in the air for the cars behind all the way down that first straight. No DRS, of course, until the third lap after this safety car. And Skip has gone already by the looks of it. And Connor left Kaz napping the gap at half a second.
Kaz is not deploying crucially here, so he's not trying to get past. Skip is deploying and AJ going for a move on Lance. No, never mind, he's not. He's going for a move on Harrison.
It's Harrison, I think, going for a move on AJ, and there is contact, and Harrison has to cut slightly the corner. And AJ keeps that P4 for now. It looks like pretty much everyone has gone through line astern in this restart. No major incidents. Rabzog and Nick changing positions. Nick obviously pitting for those fresh hards, so he's the man you've got to keep an eye on. How fast is his progress through the field in these first couple of laps?
What interests me as well is that it's this early in the race. The mediums must be considered the better race tire at this point in the race than the hards that Nick is on, so he's going to be in a disadvantage through most of the field. Big Boar is on those hards, so maybe Nick can make a move here into the straight as there's a Red Bull out, Quaden's out.
What happened there? We didn't catch it on the stream. And another safety car, so we are more than likely going to see pits happening. Skip's
thinking about it.
Skip's in, and Kaz deciding to okay, he got a penalty for cutting the corner there. AJ stays out. I'm not sure if that's the right choice, as everyone else...
Nick is in a beautiful position.
He is, he absolutely is now. Rob staying out, Tom King staying out, Simi staying out, Golf staying out, Ostradel and Nick. So Nick has now jumped all of the original lead pack with Skip on mediums, yeah. And all the rest on hards, obviously, because they used up their only set of the medium tires.
Wow. This became a very interesting race right now. Kaz deciding a little bit too late and taking that penalty there for crossing the white line on pit entry. Skip thought about it for a very long time and went in to the pits, and I believe Quaden just lost his traction out of the SS and hit a wall.
Fair enough, yeah. So this is our second safety car period of the race, only doing 6 laps. So it's AJ, the Div 1 commentator that leads, having not pitted, deciding to not pit under the safety car. And it's Rob in P2, he's had an amazing race so far, and Tom King P3. And I tell you what, if you'd have told me this would be the top 3 at one stage during this race, I would not have believed you. But this is what happens at FQ Div 2, we just don't know who's going to emerge in front.
Yeah, and now Skip is going to have a job to get those mediums to the end of the race. But we've seen him be a tire whisperer before, so it can definitely happen. If you remember, in Miami he took the mediums the whole race, and now he's looking to do the same thing in Mexico. AJ leading now must be thinking about the strategy, because what is the strategy from now? Is it just floor it and go to the softs later on, or what do you hope for him?
I think that probably is. He's probably hoping to go to the end of that stint and put on the softs and hope maybe for another safety car. That's probably AJ's best chance of maybe winning this race if things work out as they should. We know AJ's fast. We know he's faster than Rob usually, so he'll be looking to extend that gap right at the start. And he's got a good gap. He's got 5 or 6 cars between himself and Nick, Skip and the like, who you would expect to be the fastest. So if AJ can make the most of this safety car restart, it puts him in a great position too.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Harrison as well, in P11 right now, but right behind the leading pack, as we say, the ones who have pitted and are at the front. So if he can keep that DRS to Kaz and to Lance and to Skip, then he might be in a good shout of podium here.
You are right about that. This race is far from over, and with the trend of the race being safety cars, I wouldn't be surprised if we see another one after this before the end. We've already got 4 DNFs. I think we've only had 2 racing laps.
Yep, and Nick's tyre is 3 laps older as we get the safety car in already this lap.
We do. AJ will be in charge of the restart as he is the lead car. The AlphaTauri slowing the pack right down. Rob's going to try and react as much as possible in order to maybe take the lead into turn 1. We know the slipstream is very powerful here despite the high altitude. The slipstream is still very, very effective. And yeah, you're right, AJ has go.
Oh no! I was gonna say Rob is absolutely left napping, but now AJ has gone a worse run out of the final corner than Rob. He's deploying down the slipstream, down the straight.
Rob
will
stopped
have enough to go
deploying
side by side.
As AJ defends to the inside on board with Rob now. He looks to the outside and he thinks about going for the move, but he doesn't, as Kaz and Skip are having a battle.
Both get past Nick, and now Nick's looking for the switchback on Skip. And Lance just looking behind, what can he do? He's gonna try to go around the outside of Nick now, maybe around the outside of Skip as well.
Here he goes, lands around the outside of Nick, and it's been an awful restart for the Alpine man, and he's dropped 3 places in as many corners as the 3 leaders from before overtake him. So Kaz now leads that provisional P1. Obviously with that penalty though, that means that Skip, I would say, is in net P1 right now.
Yeah.
With Lance just behind. So, and the big thing is Skip is on the medium tyres.
Yeah, that's going to give him a little bit of an edge early on, as the 2 Ferraris are fighting for it right now. Harrison maybe letting Rab back past, as AJ still leads. And Rob has gotten a really bad run out of the final corner. Now Tom King might be fancying a move for 2nd place as Kaz gets past Osterdahl and now puts a car in between him and Skip. But as I say that, Osterdahl flies right past.
It's been a great restart for Kaz, and it would have made it even better if he'd get past. And now Lance on Skip. This is big for the World Championship. The championship leader gets past his closest challenger, and those mediums don't seem to be firing up for the Williams. He's losing positions to people on a compound of tyre that is harder than his own, which is not what you would see at this stage. As Osterdahl and Kaz are still wheel to wheel. Osterdahl trying to defend is still side by side, but Kaz does get that move done.
Kaz. He's now got a car in between him and Lance, right into the middle sector.
And I'll tell you what, Nick is really struggling here as well. He's been overtaken now by both Ferraris. Those hard tyres on Nick really struggling, but on the likes of Lance and Kaz, they're flourishing. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. Differences in setup.
With the move into P2 at the end of sector 2.
Yeah, that's.
And now AJ has a 2nd advantage.
That is perfect for AJ. 1.2 seconds a gap. That means Tom King will not benefit from getting the rear wing open down this back straight as DRS is enabled. Rob might look to repass. He won't get DRS, although he has used all of his ERS up. He's still in the slipstream and he's gaining. He's gaining. Is he going to go for a move down on the outside? He brakes a lot later and he's going to force the issue. He looks down the inside. He's given space. And maybe goes for the switchback, but he gets a big snap, and he's not going to.
Simi's not going for it.
And Simi looking for P3. This is going to be close. Mercedes and Red Bull down the inside, and Rob puts the squeeze on with Golf and Kaz. Kaz looking at Golf now.
Is lagging a little bit here. It's looking very, very scary indeed for everyone involved. As Nick does get back past Harrison, but still down in P11.
Not good for Nick at all, but this battle from 3rd down to 6th is really hotting up with. Ooh, Kaz is wide there. He needs to be careful he doesn't get another penalty. That 3-second penalty could really hurt him. As Lance now down the inside of Osterdahl for P7. This is a huge move. He needs to try and stay in touch with. Oh, and that's. Who is that off?
That's Tom King off.
It's Tom King off, and Skip's lost out to the 2 Ferraris side by side. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Rob down now down behind Lance. I'm not quite sure I can't speak. I just don't know.
There must have been a contact between Rob and Tom, I would guess, from the very limited information we have, as I genuinely just don't know, as Tom from P2 and Rob from P3 now, and it's AJ and Simi 1 and 2.
So unlucky for the likes of Skip and Rob, who were looking really good, and Tom King, of course, who got caught up in that. But it's perfect for Kaz and Lance, and Kaz gets another move done now with the DRS, and Golf's around. Golf is around, so he's going to drop right down the order. It's carnage here on lap 11 of this race, and he spun it again, and he's not going to be happy. I caught that on stream as he was trying to get back on the track. That's a big shame for him, but I tell you what, this is all playing into AJ's hands. He's now got a 4.5 second gap out in front.
Yeah, absolutely. If there is going to be a safety car somewhere between now and lap 18, then I think AJ might have a really good chance of winning this race.
Here comes Skip round the outside of Harrison. There's no room left whatsoever. Sorry, Rabzog it was.
Going back at him.
And Harrison's coming back at him now, his teammate. The two Ferraris locked together still. And Skip manages to hold on to the position, but I wouldn't be surprised if he feels a little bit hard done by there with definitely not a car as I don't know where Rabzog's off to there, but he seemed to go into the centre of Mexico City for a second and then come back onto the track. And Skip in the slipstream, he's going to try and get 2 in 1 there, side by side, wheel to wheel, as we go down towards turn 1. Quite late on the brakes for the Ferrari. Skip looks for the switchback move, isn't quite happening this time. He's going to try and straighten the car up for the run down into turn 4. They both get DRS. It doesn't look like it's going to happen this time, and he's not deploying as Lance now has Simi. So he will now set after Kaz. And this is looking better and better every lap for Lance, and they are catching AJ to boot.
Yeah, they've now dropped Skip by about 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds now, and yeah, as you say, they're now catching AJ as well, so Kaz and Lance looking to pull away here, and Kaz with that 3-second time penalty could be in a lot of trouble here as Harrison's round.
Harrison is round, he's not made contact, he's not got damage, but he has spun, and that's him down into 12th. Unfortunate, he was having a good race, and Skip has managed to finally get past Rabzog in the Ferrari, so the Williams driver is back up into the top 5 as Kaz sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix with Lance just behind, only 6/10 now, and we think these two are fighting it out for the provisional P1.
Yes,
Lance getting close.
4 seconds faster than AJ on that latest lap.
Yeah, these two really, you got to remember the age of the tyres. AJ has not pitted, he has been on these tyres since lap 1. Kaz and Lance pitted at the last safety car, so their tyres are much younger, and I dare say it won't be long before AJ does pit for the softs.
Yeah, Lance and Kaz on similar amounts of ERS, while AJ has 71%.
I think Kaz has lagged out the session because Lance has just lagged through him, ghosted through him, and he now takes P2. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but Kaz definitely suffering. Yeah, he has left. So Lance in a great place now as Harrison picks up a penalty. We're going to have a look at penalties actually. So it's Kaz on 3, Ostrad on 6. Harrison has retired. Harrison in the wall in sector 2. He's out. Is that going to be a safety car yet again? It would play right into AJ's hands if it is, but it doesn't look like. And the car's been cleared, so the no safety car. That would have played right into AJ's hands, but it hasn't happened this time. And Lance now with only 2.8 to AJ and 2.3 to Kaz, and Skip is very shortly going to get past Kaz's AI. Internet issues plaguing Kaz since the first round of the season. Very unfair. He's joined back now, but I don't think it's going to be too late. Skip's going to get him, and there we go. Skip back up into P3.
Yeah, and now the gap at the top only 2.3, and Lance only a second now never mind, no, 3.4. I thought I had leader. Carafon, I am very smart today, but 3.2 ahead of his championship rival Skip, as it looks like these two will have a 1-2 once again this season. All up to AJ though, how much can he do on that fresh set of softs whenever he does go onto it? And will there be another safety car in this race?
Speaking of, Simi now into 4th. A great race so far from him as Rabzog picks up another, I think it's actually his first track limits penalty. Skip with the fastest lap of the race. Those mediums starting to come into their own now, although he's used a lot of his ERS to do it. Gap still 2.8, and we know that those tyres will go compared to the hards that Lance is running, so he's trying his absolute best to make this strategy work, is Skip.
Yeah, so 1 second faster than Lance on the previous lap is Skip right now, so he's on a charge. But so is Lance, he's charging down AJ right now, and AJ needs to start thinking about pitting. It will be painful where he'll come out, but he will have the advantage of those fresh soft tires to the end of the race.
You just see AJ struggling with understeer now as the tyres begin to wear and to fall off that cliff. That very F1 game-esque cliff that they reach once they get past a certain percentage, and the gap now under a second. He lost so much during that middle sector. Surely can't be long before he's into the pits. I think the window for him benefiting from a safety car has well and truly passed. He's going to lose time now by staying out.
Yeah, and I just needs to take it on the chin as
he's
doing,
in.
and pitting on the softs and getting them to the end of the race. So from now it's all on up to play for AJ, as it is for Simi, who comes in as well, and most of the medium runners left in this race I believe will do that as well. And it's Kaz in P3 and Nick in P4 after the guys have pitted. So
Tell you what, those...
order
Sorry, you go.
Yep. I was gonna say that AJ is gonna come out in P7 here.
He is, and he's going to be rapid on those softs, and so is Simi. So it's going to be interesting to see when they go on the charge how much time and how many positions they can make up now. Everyone in front, tyres, is at least 10 laps old. And there's a couple people ahead, which we believe, like Tom King, will have to pit again, and possibly Nick Furyman. He's already done 13 laps on those tyres, and they will be feeling very second-hand very shortly, I believe.
I'll tell you what, AJ will be in P5 after everyone's made a pit stop.
And he's already rapid. He's already rapid. He's gained a second on Tom King in the first sector alone.
Yeah, I mean, just wow. AJ now with everything to play for, and I know he can see it as well. I know he can sense that he has everything to play for here as Lance and Skip the gap down to 2.2 seconds now. And Kaz still in P3, and I would expect Boris and Tom King to come in this lap. They're both losing a lot of time staying out now.
Although Big Boris looking to do the same thing as Skip maybe and go to the end on those medium tyres.
Has he pitted?
Because he pitted at the same time as Skip, and his tyres are the same age. As it looks like Tom King is going to go for the move here on him for P5. And he does.
Right. He has gone for the mediums on the first safety car and can go to the end of the race. So now it'll be interesting to see this base difference between Skip and Lance, because it is there. You can see it. You can see the gap coming down all the time. So
what Skip needs to be wary of is, you know, that their tyres are the same amount of laps old, but he's obviously on that softer compound, so his tyres will drop off at some stage a lot more than the hards that Lance has on, and he will begin to lose time again. So he needs to make the most of laps and times like this where he still has that slight grip advantage, and Lance just needs to push as hard as he can to try and make sure that he keeps that advantage until the medium tyres drop off.
Yep, talking about grip advantages, AJ now with a massive grip advantage on Big Boris through the final sector as Kaz disconnected again.
Kaz his day goes from bad to worse. The man's still in P3 on track, but now he's disconnected. I don't think it'll be long before Nick overtakes his AI. And by the looks of it, we're going to get an overtake here. We're following AJ from the helicam. He's deploying his DRS, and I think he's going to be pretty eager to get past this Mercedes, and it's going to be a pretty easy DRS pass down the long back straight. He pulls back onto the racing line, and that's a very nice move. AJ back up into the top 5 already with 7 laps to go. What kind of pace can he show on those softs?
Yeah, it needs to be multiple seconds per lap now, and I believe he can do that against Nick on those very old hards, and Kaz with the connection issues as well. So podium not out of the question here for the Div 1 commentator.
What is even more what's the word, interesting, is that Kaz, now that his AI is holding him back, he also has that 3-second penalty. So all AJ needs to do to gain one more position, even if he doesn't overtake him on track, is get in within 3 seconds of Kaz. But he is flying along, is AJ, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Always a bit wide into the stadium section as Nick gets past Kaz's AI. Still 76% on the ERS for AJ, so he's being very conservative and managing it well, which is going to help him out with overtakes later on, and he's bridging that gap so quick. The gap now to Kaz, 5.5 seconds. It was about 8 seconds, I think, a lap or two ago, so he is 3 seconds a lap faster.
Yes, and Skip now in DRS France and very close.
The two leaders getting close. Those tyres still holding on for Skip, the Williams. He's done a good job of managing them. Lance just needs to hope that they'll go off sooner rather than later. Down towards the stadium section now. Not quite close enough, but he will have a go down the pit straight.
Absolutely, the two championship leaders side by side now. Very reminiscent of 2021. The two leaders 11 seconds up the field on another level to the rest today. So Skip now going for the move.
See how hard Lance decides to defend. He goes right to the inside to force him around the outside, and they are going to go wheel to wheel. Real late braking there from Skip, but he's managed to hold it around the outside, and that's a lovely move from him. He'll get the second dose of DRS as well to add insult to injury to Lance. So all Lance now needs to do, he'll be encouraged by that red light flashing as well on the Williams. All he needs to do is hold on to that second.
But Lance does have a 3-second time penalty.
He does.
Has been lacking on pace, so
yeah, I'd noticed that's gone unnoticed, but Lance does have a penalty, and the gap is a second already. So Skip looking good.
Skip looking very good to win this race, and AJ now has plateaued a little bit. 4.4 seconds now. There is a McLaren into the pit wall.
Is that Anja Mead? It must be.
A lot of debris on that main straight, but we won't have a safety car this late on, and he's retired from the session.
Kaz has rejoined, and he's making up for lost time with an overtake on Nick, but he gets a big tank slapper and has to give the position up again as he saves it from hitting the wall. But he will get another chance down this long pit straight with the DRS wide open to retake that podium that he has held for so much of this race before his disconnection. He's not quite gaining as much as you'd imagine. Maybe a higher downforce setup on the Aston Martin than on the Alpine, and he doesn't get the chance down into turn 1. He'll get another chance down into turn 4 though.
Everything this does is to allow AJ to close back up, and I know AJ will be like, thank you very much on those soft compound tires against these two hard compound runners. As Boris, Rab and Rob are having a 3-way battle here in Sector 1. As Rab has lagged out, I believe. So. Yeah,
Rabzog, unfortunately, another victim of lag and connectivity issues. Someone else we haven't talked about, who pitted on the same lap as AJ, is his commentary partner, Simi. Going really well in 6th, having a great race. And
Yeah, and
he's got quite good pace too.
yeah, absolutely. On those soft compound tires now, he should be able to hold P6 as long as nothing major happens. Kaz gonna be looking for a move again into turn 1 on Nick, and it looks like at the front, Skip has broken DRS and is breaking away.
Yeah, looking good for Skip, better and better as each lap goes. We expected the hards to be better at this stage, but it isn't turning out that way. And Kaz now going for the move down the inside, and he's got the move done, so he retakes P3 on track, but with that 3-second penalty looming, he needs to get a move on. And AJ now 2.7, so he's only a few tenths away from being able to claim 4th when penalties are applied, and a couple of seconds away from having a pop at Nick for P3 as well.
Yeah, I think that what becomes the interesting story now is Skip and those medium compound tires. Will they fall off enough for Lance to get past, and 3 seconds on him, but that looks very, very unlikely as Nick now out of the 1 second zone from Kaz.
Yeah, and AJ almost into the 3-second zone from Kaz, more importantly, and the gap coming down between Nick and AJ too, so this could be a last lap battle, not on track, but with penalties applied for 3rd place between Nick and AJ on the most contrasting strategies you could possibly get, I think, but both of them wielding a very similar race time, and they're going to be right together at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Gibbo in the chat, not the cleanest of races. I don't think we've seen too much of actual incidents today.
The incidents were all kind of towards the back of the grid. I'm not quite sure. We didn't really catch many of them at all. A couple of people just spinning on their own through that fast middle section. Very unfortunate. We've lost 6 people.
1 second.
Yeah, he's brought
now
the gap back.
Second.
This is interesting. Obviously, he's still got that 3-second penalty, so Skip won't be too bothered about this. Although, if we don't know how many warnings Skip's on, so if Skip's on 2 warnings, he's going to have to keep it very clean.
Now.
And now AJ's within the 3 seconds as well for Kaz, so we'll pick up P4 if it stays like this.
Skip has no warnings, 0 warnings.
Okay, so all Skip has to do then is, he doesn't even have to win on track, all he has to do is stay within 3 seconds of Lance, and I think he can do that. There's only 2 laps remaining, less than 2 laps remaining now.
Yeah, and definitely looking like the first win of the season will be now for Skip, and Nick looking to get 3rd on track from Kaz, but that might slow them down to AJ behind, who's definitely now within the 3-second gap to Kaz. Yeah,
that is true. Nick doing a great job here. All he has to do to protect himself from AJ is stay in the DRS range of Kaz, and he's doing it superbly. He knows he doesn't have to fight it, he doesn't have to waste time, because he will get that position anyway when penalties are applied at the end. He's playing it very smart, but AJ in this lap is now within a second. And guess what? Nick Furyman isn't within a second of Kaz anymore, so will AJ get a chance on the final lap to take away a podium from Nick? This is going to be insane. Let's just have a look at the ERS. We've got AJ who has 46%, but Nick only has 16. Huge as Tom King gets past Ostradel.
And no DRS for Nick either, and that is absolutely massive.
Here comes AJ. Look at the extra speed. He's draining his battery, but he's got the run, and he's going to take it. What a lovely move. He's left it to the final lap, and that is provisional podium gone for Nick. And it's a provisional podium gained for AJ. All he's got to do now is stay within that DRS and stay ahead of Nick for the rest of the lap. He doesn't have to attack Kaz. All he needs to do is stay within 3 seconds, and it will be a podium for AJ. A beautiful race. a lovely move on the final lap, and a well-deserved podium looks to be going AJ's way.
Yeah, but on the other side of things, now coming into the final sector, the 2 leaders separated by less than a second, but that 3-second time trial difference means that it's for sure going Italian here in Mexico. He won on track last week, he's gonna win on track this week. It's gonna be Skip again. Ottimo lavoro, Skip, and well done today. He's gonna take the checkered flag right in front of his championship rival to win the Mexican Grand Prix.
In a class of their own today, weren't they? Just so far clear of everyone else, pushing each other to the end, but in the end it is Skip who just has that extra little bit and a little bit more discipline to not get those penalties, as AJ does pick up that P3 when penalties applied, with Nick in P4 and Kaz doing well considering the disconnections, what could have been for him. Simi comes through to take P6, Tom King P7 after putting the softs on quite late and making up quite a few places. Ostradel P8, Rob will take P9, Big Boris will take P10 on track, but I believe Golf will take that last point, he will. And then Rabzog will be our final finisher, and that is your 12 finishers of the Mexican Grand Prix. A great race, really only a 2-horse race for the win today, especially after the strategies shook out, but a brilliant drive from everyone on the podium. And as it is customary now, we will run you through the order and then give you the Italian national anthem.
Before you do, who's your driver of the day?
Ooh, driver of the day, that's a good question. I'm going to say AJ.
I would go for Simi myself.
Simi,
up a few places, a good points paying position. If anyone in the chat has a vote to break the vote between us two, send it in now so we know it soon enough.
Yeah.
So we can get them up for an interview, but I would give it to Simi.
Cool, yeah. I mean, both of them two really shone, along with the top 2 as well, so congrats to AJ and Simi being elected by us to driver of the day. But like you said, comment your driver of the day down below to see who we will interview. So it is Skip once again on track, who wins, and I believe this result will stand this time, hopefully for him. Lance P2 on the road, and with that 3-second penalty it was always looking like that was going to be the case, and AJ with a brilliant recovery drive to P3. Then it's Nick and Kaz top 5, Simi, Tom, Ostradel, Rob and Golf the last point scorers, and then Big Boris and Rab the last 2 finishers, with Ange, Hamid, Harrison, Quad, Cody, Stevie and Swampmouth all DNFing from the race. And so it is time for the second week in a row. We are going to hear the Italian national anthem. There you have it then, the Italian national anthem playing for the second week running, and this time, hopefully, it will stand in the final results. A brilliant result for Skip yet again, showing that he has the pace to be a total and utter championship challenge. And we're going to get the three podium sitters and, of course, our driver of the day, Simi, into the podium chat for a little interview.
Yep.
Done. Good job.
Good job.
Hello, everyone.
You won that on strategy. Well done. Well done. Incredible.
Okay, so we'll get right into the interviews. FneXie, as you voted him the driver of the day, do you want to take Simi for the first interview?
Yes. Hello, Zimi, and congratulations on driver of the day today. It
Cheers,
wasn't
mate.
just me who decided. Also, chat reaffirmed my hunch for your driver of the day. You were one of the few who stayed out during the second safety car. What was your reasoning behind that? What was your thinking there to stay out instead of boxing on lap 5?
Yeah, I knew there would be more safety cars, so I just wanted to take my medium tyres longer. So I started on the mediums, so I was quite happy with my setup as well. I actually had no confidence going into this race at all, so I'm really happy with P6. Didn't even get a single warning either, so yeah, found a comfortable setup for me, especially through the S's. Though last lap I almost lost it through the S's, I don't know if you caught that, but yeah, really pleased. Obviously, didn't have a great outing last weekend, so P6, very, very pleased. I'm just gutted Boris got his 5-second penalty, otherwise he may have been contention for P10 possibly. But yeah.
Yeah, good weekend for you, obviously. You only did one run in qualifying at the very end. Were you just that confident in the car and in yourself to only do a one lap? Or...
You know me, I'm an open book. To be honest, I wasn't feeling very well. As soon as I started the lobby, I just ran to the toilet. So,
Oh dear.
yeah, thank you whoever invited Imodium. But yeah, so considering all that, yeah, I'm really pleased. But that's why I only had one run at quali. Well,
Yeah, okay.
I had runs and run.
That is fair enough, mate. P9 to P6, very good drive today.
Thank you, mate.
Congratulations on drive of the day, and yeah, we'll see you next. Well, actually, everyone will hear you in about 45 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, thanks for ever vote for me. Cheers.
Congrats, Simi, and a great drive from yourself. So that's your first drive of the day of the season. Brilliant stuff. So I will take then the P3 man. As we alluded to, there was one other person who went for that strategy along with Simi, and it was, of course, you, AJ. It was an incredible fight back through the field once you went onto the softs, and the overtake on the last lap was exquisite. Talk us through that final soft stint.
The most stressful, difficult situation of my life. The only thing I can honestly say is thank God for the grip. It didn't last all that long, but it was just nice to start catching up to Nick and Kaz to start off with. That was my initial thought behind it. Is I'd seen who had pit onto the hard tyres, and I thought, you know what, I'll let them two have their race, or whoever pit in the first. I'd let them two have the race. Because I don't really, not that I don't want to fight Lance, I have a lot of respect for him. I don't want to get involved with Skip and Lance because they're just too quick on their race. But yeah, it was difficult. I struggled with rear end slippage, but getting past Nick on the last lap, it was so satisfying. I'm not going to lie, it was the most satisfying feeling ever. And the relief, obviously.
Yeah, it was an incredible last lap effort, and so obviously you decided not to pit when the two safety cars came out. What was your inspiration for that move? Was it something you were discussing with a teammate? Were you in a voice chat, or did you just decide that?
No, I was actually with Lance and Simi in chat, and they both. Well, Lance went in, and I'm like, I feel like it was just a bit too early for me, and I felt like the softs would have been a bit more of a benefit for me where I was on track. I hadn't done any hard tyre testing, so I didn't really know what they were going to react like. But I was hoping for another safety car. The track record for Mexico safety cars usually pretty high because of the S's, because you find that you beach the car on the curbs. But after the second safety car, everybody kept it clean, so disappointing. But yeah, that was really the main reason. I just didn't feel comfortable on the hard tyres.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, your strategy definitely worked in the end, even if you did leave it to the last lap, and an incredible podium for yourself. So, massive congrats.
Yeah, I just wanted to say massive congrats to the two people in front. They are like in another league. And apologies to Stevie. I had a little bit impeding thing with him in quali. But there's not a great deal I could have done. But I'm not trying to plead my case, but yeah, apologies to him as well. But yeah, congrats to the other two. And Simi, well done on Driver of the Day, legend.
Cheers, mate. I'm not sure if it's deliberate you saying about rear end slippage after what I said, but
No.
yeah, thank you, mate.
Sorry, welcome.
Well, congrats to AJ. So, FneXie, shall I take Lance so you can take Skip, as is tradition?
Yeah, sure.
Okie dokie. So, your P2 man and championship leader, still, I believe, after this round, is Lance. An incredible race from yourself. You and Skip were gone in a class of two. It ended up being the smallest of differences between you two. Just talk us through the race and what was going through your head.
Terrible start. Like even in quali, I was struggling with nerves, to be perfectly honest. I wasn't. I was feeling comfortable in the car, but the nerves were getting to me. And then my last lap, just I didn't have the pace that I thought I had. But no, then terrible start, and I was stuck behind Kaz and Skip. Going through those first couple of laps, Kaz was kind of stressing me out a little. He was kind of bouncing all over the place, so that kind of put me off. But then once the opportunity came to box for hards, I took it. Like the hards didn't treat me as well as they did in places like Miami. They just weren't great. Skip had the kind of the edge on strategy there. He started in the softs, which opened up the mediums for him. I was stuck to the hards really. By starting on mediums, I couldn't have brought softs that long. And just I seemed to get through the field a bit quicker than him, but no, he just had the pace on those mediums. Incredible stuff from him. There's just his race pace is incredible. I don't know what to say, you know.
Well, considering you only finished 4/10 behind him, you can give yourself some credit because your race pace was incredible too. So huge congrats, and I'm sure we'll see you back on the top step again.
Thanks.
Very, very soon. So FneXie, it's all yours, P1 man.
Yeah, Skip, ottimo lavoro grande today again. Well done, and a great win for you today. Last time out in Austria, you also won on track, but today I think it might stand. How are you feeling right now?
After a difficult week, after the Austrian verdict, I prefer to shut up and train. One,
Yes.
I'm the only driver with 5 consecutive podium. I'm very happy with that. Good race, good battles, and difficult start, but I bet on the Reds tires, and it was difficult after the safety car, but it's okay. We won, and good result for Williams as well.
Yeah, you did very, very well once again, and obviously leading and getting pole position. Very, very well done today. Congratulations on the win, and congratulations on some points gained on your championship rival.
Oh, thank you, mate.
All right, thanks
Incredible stuff from him. He was like absolutely incredible. I don't know what else to say. He was just astonishing pace. Well done, Skip. Well done.
Thank you, Lynn.
took the words right out of my mouth there, Lance. Thank you. To be fair, from both of you, again, class of 2, gap in the whole field, and definitely the benchmark in every respect, I think, in Division 2. So I can't wait to see what the rest of the season holds with you two battling it out so close. It's going to be absolutely incredible. But for now, it is goodbye. It's been another incredible Div 2 race, and I honestly would not want to be Simi and AJ trying to follow that up. But yet again, the pace setters doing their thing out front, and us trying to keep up in the commentary box, and I wouldn't be able to do it without FneXie. So thanks very much again for joining me and being there to fill in the many gaps that I leave in my commentary.
That's what I'm here for, mate. Also, special mention, Finland has got a new president. It's amazing.
Nice,
Our
cool.
presidential election has just ended.
Nice one. Well, exciting times for Finland as well. So, not just FQ having good times, Finland as well. So I hope that's good. I actually don't know anything about that. So, but yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Again, it's been yet another incredible race, and in about 45 minutes time, we will get the Div 1 drivers around Imola for the Division 1 race, and we will hand over to AJ and Simi. Until then, good evening and see you next time.